So I've had this idea for a little while, and like all the stars are falling into place that I just can't ignore it anymore. Um, and it all starts with one man, and that one man is Hector El Protector. Now this is Hector El Protector, but actually it's not, because this is Hector El Protector. Hector number one was originally wiped out in 2017 when Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico. Thankfully, Hector was rebuilt 2 years later in 2019 and is still doing his job of protecting the island of Calabria, but now he's doing it in a much more peaceful way, holding a lantern instead of throwing stones. So Hector was made by this man, Thomas Dambo, and he is a wonderful artist from Denmark. And he's on his grand tour mission, The Trail of 1,000 Trolls. And in it, he's working to build 1,000 trolls throughout the world using only recycled materials. Now, here I'll kind of scroll through a few of the fun ones to look at, but keep in mind, it all started with Hector. And by this point, some of y'all in the room are probably wondering what the hell this has to do with the Secret Santa gift. So, Dad, I know you've been working on your own documentary, but you're taking a little too long. So, my gift to you for Secret Santa is motivation, and the way that I'm going to do that is by creating my very own amateur documentary about the grandmother tree. So after that perfect 10 out of 10 intro, obviously the first thing I had to do to solve all my problems and become a great documentarian was just buy new equipment for my audio and visuals, so I wouldn't have to be stuck with my gaming headset and webcam. Now I have an actual vlog camera here and a microphone that we will be putting good use to on the road here in a bit, but I still need some more background information on the grandmother tree and Thomas Dambo. The grandmother tree is the pinnacle of Thomas Dambo's exhibitions in North Carolina. Um, its location is relatively a secret, and we need to find a couple of his other trolls to unlock the secret hidden location. If I go to the website here, Thomas Dambo's website, um, there is a poem here that I'm going to read out for us. It says, "Between these 20 rhymes, you'll meet some different characters. 7 trolls, a big old tree, and then you're the narrator. First, the trolls, a mother and a father, and their fivelings. They grew up in a forest somewhere under the horizon. And then second is the grandmother, a mighty ancient tree, the beacon of the forest. Without her, they all grow aimlessly. And then the third is you. Your name is written in the caption, in the center of the action. You decide what's next to happen. But one species, all trolls, has learned to fear through evolution. Invasive, a pollution, you must never trust a human. A human seeks the oldest trees to kill and to cut them down and chop it up into tiny pieces, haul it, burn it in their town. And so the trolls have cast a spell, enchanted the grandmother tree so no human can find her. Now she looks like any other tree, but every time the moon is dark, the red wolves howl and bark. This is the sign that sparks the start. The trolls search the park. Where they go is a secret. You can come if you keep it. Swear to never speak it, eat it, never to repeat it. 1 troll is in Charlotte, 1 in High Point, 5 in Dix Park. 7 secret symbols on the troll map. You must start." So, Hector the Protector is cool and all, but the troll pictured here is also very important. And that's because, as you know, Dad, Thomas Dambo is well known for taking volunteers, local volunteers, to help build his sculptures. And I know you helped build this troll here, but I don't know if you ever got to see the others, especially the secret grandmother tree. So my extra gift to you is going to be the forbidden knowledge that is the location of the grandmother tree. To get started, let's hear it from the man himself, Thomas Dambo.
From this moment, my new exhibition, The Grandmother Tree in North Carolina, is open. It is 7 trolls, 5 in Dix Park in Raleigh, 1 somewhere in Charlotte, and 1 another place in High Point. Each of these 7 trolls, they are protecting a very special tree called the Grandmother Tree. And if you want to find the Grandmother Tree, you have to find all the 7 trolls' 7 necklaces. Each of the 7 necklaces has a special troll symbol on them. And then you need to go into thomasdambo.com/trollmap, where you will see this poem, and under the top line of it, you will see an option to click in 7 symbols. If you click in the 7 symbols in any given order, you will be granted access to the Grandmother Tree. Best of luck, and have a nice day.
So the sun is now up on day 1 of our adventure, and I've got my Trolls catalog here from Thomas Dambo, and we're thinking our first stop is going to be in High Point for the Little Sally troll. So we'll get going here. Just about ready to go, but it's going to be about a 2-hour drive, so hang tight and we'll almost be there to Little Sally. Okay, Dad, here we are. We've made it to our first stop. This is Little Sally. And you can kind of see that it's in a wooded off area, and there's some of the kind of construction area where a lot of the recycled materials probably were sourced from. If I spin you around here, you can get a better picture of the wooded area we are. Little Sally's just hanging out, and we can look up and take our first clue of the symbol there. Here you can see the placard that kind of marks the area. It's a little secluded but a little quiet, so it's a nice place for Sally to hide away. But with that, we'll kind of walk on by, and then we'll be on our way to Charlotte to see the next one. So with that first stop out of the way, we got our first symbol on Sally here. And after that last video I took, I ran into an older couple that was also doing the kind of scavenger hunt, and they were on their way to Raleigh next, but we're actually going to continue on to Charlotte today. But before we leave, I noticed a couple of other art installations that we might take a look at here. So obviously Sally was the main event here in High Point, but there was a nice little greenway to take a stroll on and stretch my legs and see a couple of these little art installations along the way before we move on to Charlotte. So we're here in Charlotte, and we can see them just over on the hill. We already see, compared to the last stop, that it is much more popular, a lot more going on in this area in terms of people visiting than the previous one. So I just finished hanging out with Big Pete Troll. As you saw, we got our next symbol, which was the plus sign. And you know, I didn't want to film anything around too close to everyone else and be rude, but back behind Big Pete's hangout spot is this little wooded area with a nice little walkway. Get some relaxing shots and listen to some of the birds here. But Big Pete was quite the sight to see. A lot more activity than the High Point location, but still very fun. So that's the first two trolls done, 5 more to go. I'd say we're off to a pretty good start on our scavenger hunt, but we still need the next 5 to unlock the secret location of the grandmother tree. Okay, welcome to day 2 of the grandmother tree adventure. And today our destination is Raleigh, where we can find the last 3 trolls to unlock this secret password to see the grandmother tree. Alright, here we are at my first troll for our Raleigh adventure in Dix Park. This one is named Dax. He's got a pretty cool running position. So just through the woods here, a couple yards after the previous one, Dax will come up on the next one and see what it is. This guy's a little shy, but his name is Ducks. So just met Ducks over there. He's still peeking through the woods. He's a little shy, but they have a nice hammock here to relax on for a bit before I go off to see the I think it's the third grandchild troll and the mother strongtail. All right, on our way to the last symbol, there's a couple of fun art pieces that we'll pass by in the park. So I'll just kind of take a stroll on over before we get to the final troll with the final symbol. So down there, down the hill, is just the last symbol that we need, and it's actually on the troll that you helped build, Dad. So this one's a little special, and if you remember the poem at the beginning of the treasure hunt, you know, we're supposed to keep the location of the grandmother tree secret. So this one I will leave as a secret. All right, Pa, here I am at finishing my tour at Dick's Park, and here a nice setup here with the skyline in the background of Raleigh. So I found all 7 symbols. It was very fun, and so I'm just mere seconds away from discovering the location of the secret grandmother tree. And so when I input all the symbols in, we'll know the location, and we'll have to go together on Christmas Eve. All right, so the moment is finally here. I've logged onto the troll map, but before we go to the grandmother tree, we might be interested in scrolling down here to see honorable mention Hector El Protector. But if we go ahead and zoom in on North Carolina, we'll see the poem again for the grandmother tree. And I've already preloaded 5 of the 7 symbols, but the last 2 I have to leave a secret to do the poem justice and make sure that only those worthy are going to be able to find the grandmother tree. All right, so here I am back in my apartment after visiting home for the holidays, and so now the journey is officially over. I guess I learned a lot of lessons on the trip about recycling and sustainability and good art, but the biggest lesson I learned is how easy it is to make an amateur, mediocre documentary. And so I expect to see some good progress on your project, Dad. And if not, then I might have to keep making more to show you who's boss.